Today, we're going to take a look at the best case scenario for Kamala Harris in the upcoming election. This is going to be as of early August, and given everything that's happened over the past month, yet again, there's not going to be a regular prediction this month. We had the fallout from the debate, we had the Trump assassination attempt, we had Biden dropping out. It's way too much, we've got to let the dust settle. But a couple of weeks ago, I did put out a hypothetical matchup between Harris and Trump, so take a look at that video if you'd like. So as always, this is just the best reasonable case scenario. It's not going to be anything extreme where 40 states go blue. This basically assumes that Harris's popularity maintains for the next 3 months all the way into the general election. The economic sentiment turns around, she has all kinds of momentum while Trump pretty much stagnates. We'll also take a look at the best case scenario for Trump, probably tomorrow, but for today it's going to be Harris. So let's get into the map. We can start by filling out the obvious safe states, and these are expected to be over a 10-point margin. So first for Kamala Harris, we're going to start off by giving her Hawaii, then the West Coast, Washington, Oregon, California. Then we could head over to Colorado and New Mexico. Both those were over 10 last time, so I'm assuming she could at least match those margins. Then in the Midwest, we're going to give her Illinois. Then in the East Coast, we're going to say Maine at large just hits about 10 points. Also, Maine's 1st congressional district. Then next door, New Hampshire is also going to just hit about 10 to 11 points. Then all the regular blue states, Vermont, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. And the last state that is going to hit 10 is going to be Virginia. It hit 10 last time. We're going to say it happens again. Now we do the safe states for Donald Trump. We start with Idaho in the west, and then we head east and fill in all the states through the Dakotas into the deep south, then back up to Indiana, and then east to West Virginia, and finally South Carolina. Some states like Kansas or Missouri would get down to low double digits. I just don't think they would quite get down into single digits. Now South Carolina and Mississippi, those are also states where theoretically Harris could do better with black voters and the margin would be reduced. Back in 2008, Obama did get the margin in South Carolina under 10 points. 4 years later, it was over 10 points. I think Harris is weaker than Obama, but I do think it could get down to maybe about 10.5 points in this scenario. Next, we're going to go down to the likely states. These are expected to be between a 5 and a 10-point margin. First for Kamala Harris, she's going to start off with Nebraska's 2nd congressional district. This is one that Trump won in 16. He lost it in 20. Since then, there's been redistricting. It did get a little bit redder, but it's more suburban. The Trump brand does not exactly resonate here. So in this, it's going to get up to 5.5 to 6 points for Harris. Then we've got Minnesota. This one would be borderline safe, but I have it as about 9 to 10 points for Harris. It was very close in 16. It swung hard to the left in 2020. In this, I'm going to assume the Trump brand is just too toxic for the suburbs around the Twin Cities, and she does 1 or 2 points better, but it's not going to quite hit safe. That's actually it for Harris. Now we can do the likely states for Trump. He also has 2. He's going to start off with Alaska. This has ranked choice voting, and we know this is also not a state that is enthusiastic for Trump. It's just so red that it's not actually going to get competitive, but in this, it is going to get down to just under 10 points and go likely. Then we can head to the opposite end of the map and go back up to Maine. Trump is going to get the 2nd congressional district. It's very red, and this I'm going to say it's only about 8 to 8.5 points, and Trump is going to get it by a likely margin. Now we can go down to the more competitive lean states, and these are going to be under 5-point, but more than 1-point margins. For Kamala Harris, she's going to sweep the swing states. She's going to get Nevada, Arizona, the Rust Belt states of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. And finally, we can come around into the Sun Belt and give her Georgia. Biden won all those states in 2020. In this, again, we're going to assume Harris has some strong momentum, and she's going to carry all the same states by 1 to 2 points more. So that's going to be a big boost to her electoral total, and she's already over 270. Next, we could go down to the lean states for Donald Trump. He's going to get 4 of them. He's going to get Iowa, Ohio, Texas, and Florida. It's possible Ohio and especially Iowa go likely even in this scenario. I'm going to say they get down to just under 5 points. In Texas, we're going to assume those suburban trends continue left. That's going to cancel out most of the Trump gain in the Rio Grande Valley. That means the state is going to get narrower, but it's ultimately going to still be a 2 to 3 point margin for Trump. And in Trump's home state of Florida, that would be similar to the margin he put up last time, maybe very slightly toward the left. So it's still going to be at least a 2.5 to 3 point win for Trump. And the last state is going to be North Carolina, and this is going to be a tilt margin of 1% or less. So I think if there's enough of a blue wave, the Trump turnout gets a little little bit more depressed, Harris turns out black voters, suburban voters, women, independents are enthusiastic for Harris, that is going to narrowly flip and give her the Tar Heel state. So the final map in this blue wave scenario is Kamala Harris 319, Donald Trump 219. So it's a significant 100 electoral vote win for Harris. And remember, this is just the best reasonable case scenario. This also assumes Biden's popularity goes up a little bit. He puts out some good executive orders. Harris turns out to be a strong campaigner. She has a good running mate. And Trump has a couple of missteps and ultimately does not get the turnout he needs. As I've said, it's been very hard to predict things, given all the changes over the past month. But either way, this is pretty much the top of the mountain for Harris. You could try to say it would get even crazier and some of these states would go likely. Maybe you even think Texas could flip. For me, those changes were a little bit too unreasonable. We could always update this in a couple of months if Harris surges and Trump flops. But for now, I think this is the best reasonable case scenario for Kamala Harris. So let me know in the comments, how does your map look in this scenario? I'm assuming you at least think Harris could win in the best case scenario. But is the map even bluer, or do you still have North Carolina going red? Let me know down below on your way out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to help support the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.